Good morning. My name is Barry Sarkissian. I'm an attorney, retired Superior Court judge, and I have the pleasure this morning of interviewing Robert Margulies. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Barry.
Robert is an icon of Hudson County Bar. He's been practicing law over 50 years. I've known him for many years, and I do know some of his accomplishments, but we wanted to take this opportunity as part of the Memorial Support Outreach Committee, as the subcommittee of oral history, where we've taken several interviews of members of the bar and judiciary, which are on this website, which you're seeing this interview right now. So please feel free to contact those, but Robert is someone who we've been trying for some time to get and sit in this chair, and I've already said good morning, and I want to ask you a question just as an opening before you tell us about your illustrious career. Is that I don't know every detail, but I know that you come from a family that have a history in the law profession, the judiciary, in this state and out of this state. Is that accurate?
Yeah, my great uncle was Gus Sullivan, was a chief federal judge in Oregon. He was appointed by Truman, and he was quite a luminary and a character. And someone you knew well, my uncle who talked me into being a lawyer, Seymour Margulies, became a Superior Court judge in his last 10 years of eligibility to be a judge before, as he coined the term, he became constitutionally senile at age 70.
I've used that many times, by the way, since I've been retired 7 years. But
Seymour started with Maurice Brigadier, who started teaching the bar course in 1923. Seymour started in 1950. I taught in the late 70s a little. And so most of the Supreme Court justices, including Justice Brennan on the U.S. Supreme Court, were Briggs students, and many judges. So it was a wonderful opportunity to be mentored by people that were just at the highest caliber, pinnacle of law. So it gave me the opportunity during my career to practice civil, criminal, state, and federal, other jurisdictions as well. So it's been a great career.
I have to say, I know this interview with you today is about you and your career, but I have to just tell you that your uncle was very much a mentor to me, and you know, he truly had a love of the law. And I don't know if you can recall yourself, but because you dealt with him day to day when he was part of your firm, I guess, before he ascended to the bench, can you give us some insight about him and his love of the law and how that expressed itself?
He was very creative, very knowledgeable, but very creative. The story I like to tell about Seymour was we, in the trust company building at 921 Bergen Avenue, on the top floor where the bank had its boardroom, we had our office, and we had a library with, out of the movies, you know, the tall bookshelves where you had to have a ladder to go up. We had a young lawyer, Ray Wiss, working with us, and Ray asked Seymour a question, and I described Seymour as a whirling dervish, pulling books off the shelf, opening them up, and after 5 or 10 minutes, it seemed like an age, Ray grabbed Seymour on the sleeve, but Seymour, we're on the other side without missing a beat. Well, on the other hand, trained like an English barrister, that it could take any side, and he brought, we tried to establish sovereignty for New Jersey, for Liberty Island, and the Statue of Liberty, and Ellis Island. Eventually, Ellis Island, one of our parties became the Attorney General, and he brought for Ellis Island in the U.S. Supreme Court, and New Jersey was able to establish sovereignty. But he was clever and unafraid. He once brought an action in the federal court in Pennsylvania to enjoin a federal grand jury with a straight face and a legal argument behind it. So he's that kind of a lawyer.
Well, I mean, what my experience was, again, he was my mentor when I became a judge, and before that, when I was a lawyer, I had the ability to talk to him in chambers about a case that he wasn't related to and be very forthcoming. But what was so great about Seymour, and again, we're going to start talking about you in a minute, but I have to say that the way he approached the law and the way he approached his colleagues, lawyers, and even parties that appeared before him was with a bonhomie, a good nature. And even if you didn't prevail in an application before him, he was gentle in the way he presented it. And really the consummate gentleman, and very, very bright, of course.
Yeah, Seymour was one of a kind, no question.
Yeah. So, coming back to you, just a little bit personal about you. I saw you say that your uncle was in the Supreme Court of Oregon.
No, the federal court.
Federal court.
Chief judge of the federal
appointed by President Trump. You told me that. Now there's some sort of link that you have to Oregon in some way.
I was born in Oregon, and my grandparents lived there, so.
I see. And your wife, Jennifer, lovely wife,
Yes.
Was she have roots in the West?
She grew up in Oregon. I met her. She lived next door to my grandmother, and I met her it was a apartment complex and had a pool. I met her in the pool. I was 16, and we've been together married for 56 years. So.
That's right, and I still see you in downtown Jersey City where you live, as I do, walking the street on your way to a restaurant, holding hands. Is that you?
Absolutely.
All right. So, tell us a little bit about, again, let's put aside the litigation experience you have as a lawyer over the last 50 years. In case you try, we might turn to one or two of them in a minute, but tell us about your involvement teaching the law and teaching topics in the law, which you've acquired some expertise in. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, I originally started teaching the bar review course, and that's sort of what my appetite. And then by serendipity, I was trained as a mediator by the court. And as a result of that, I got interested in mediation. And so much so that I was one of three who founded the Justice Garibaldi American Indian Court for ADR. And I've been teaching for almost 30 years at ICL as a principal lecturer in mediation to the lawyers and judges. I've had the opportunity, also arbitration, taught the court arbitration program. I've taught at Seton Hall and Rutgers mediation and negotiation. I also had the opportunity to teach several times at Peking University in Beijing and several other places. But I've really enjoyed the teaching. As a result of getting involved in mediation, I got on the Supreme Court committee and I drafted, and it was accepted by the Supreme Court, the rule that created the civil mediation program that's still active and vibrant in the court system.
So your teaching in this field right now is taking you all over the world.
Yeah. I've gone for a number of years, about almost 15 years, going to Paris to the International Chamber of Commerce mediation convention, and participated there. So it's been quite a good experience.
Great.
I also had the opportunity about 3 years ago to lecture in Poland to Polish judges on mediation. So,
give us your perspective on how you think lawyers and judges, not only in the United States, maybe you can do a comparing of how these different countries feel about mediation, and mediation as a solution to to resolving what can be very expensive litigation? Is there a different approach in different
Well,
countries?
it's interesting. What's happened in the United States, and it started, there was something called the Pound Conference, and I think it was in 1972, convened by the Chief Justice of the United States, who was upset with lawyering. And as a result of this, a Harvard...
Who was the Chief Justice at the time? Do you remember?
Berger. And as a result of that, a Harvard professor, Frank Sander, participated, and he had some experience in mediation from Sweden, actually. And he coined the term multi-door courthouse. So the idea that you should be able to go in the courthouse and pick the forum for your, whether you want an arbitration, mediation, or a jury trial, a judge trial. And that sort of started mediation in this country. It's very vibrant in this country, very vibrant. We are, New Jersey, known as being a vibrant mediation community, especially, as you know, a number of retired judges are retiring and having second careers, as mediators. Yeah, but in addition to that, abroad, governments have said we have to include mediation. However, it's been very difficult to accept. Internationally, disputes are resolved generally by arbitration, because you don't have an enforcement mechanism except under something called the New York Convention, which you do have in arbitration. In fact, I formed, along with several others, something called GMXC, Global Mediation Exchange, which we authored and got passed a statute, the International Arbitration, Mediation, and Conciliation Act.
At what level was that adopted?
In New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And that allows enforcement of mediation settlements. So we're getting that off the ground as we speak now.
Well, I mean, so you have many various coals in the fire, so to speak, on mediation, and you're still very active in trying to present that and have mediation resolve this litigation, which has become even more expensive these days.
I just met a few weeks ago with Judge Blee, who's the new administrative director of the courts, and along with several other people, we are offering suggestions of how the courts could take more advantage of mediation. It was frankly well received.
Let me ask you this: in your current practice now, you serve as a mediator.
I do.
But sometimes you're on the other side of the table as the litigant's attorney presenting a case to a mediator.
Absolutely, and I've been castigated a couple times. Someone has said, you can't say that, you're a mediator. So not today, I'm a lawyer representing my client today.
Does your experience with being a mediator give you better insights in how to present a case on behalf of a litigator to a mediator?
Absolutely.
Can you share some of those secrets with us?
Well,
unless there's no proprietary.
I don't know that they're proprietary or secrets because they teach, but I have found that being a mediator and understanding better, because most of my practice has been a plaintiff's lawyer's practice, but understanding both sides much better, I'm able to be much more strategic. I'm a big believer in strategy, in helping people solve their problems, as opposed to the brass knuckle back and forth. My conclusion is when someone tries a case today, someone has made a mistake gauging their risk. That someone's going to lose and someone's going to win. And mediation, often you can come to an accommodation that serves the interests of all the parties.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about the cases where, contrary to your natural inclination, which is to mediate and resolve disputes, where you've had to go to the mat, so to speak, in the courtroom, on behalf of the litigant, and any interesting cases over the last 50 years that you've handled that you were put in that position?
Yeah, well, I tried a case in Middlesex County a number of years ago, right around early 2000, of a fellow from West Virginia who was working in New Jersey in a steel factory in Sayreville, and the pot of boiling steel burnt. And that meant molten steel was thrown out, and he was badly burned. He had a 92% body burn, which you're not supposed to live. And we tried that case, got a $10 million award, principally because the other side was just resistant to settling the case. So, and that ended up settling on appeal. But that was the thing that I did there. We did not have the machinery, but we had a picture of the old machine, and I had an expert construct in a picture what we suggested should have been the safety. And the lawyer halfway through the trial decided I better object to that. It was too late. I tried an interesting case in California and LA at the time of the O.J. Simpson trial was going on at the same time, where my client was murdered in New York City. He was co-owner of the Chippendales, the male dancers.
Sure.
And we sued them, and he had, the long story, but he had died, and we sued the family and got a $40 million verdict, of which we only collected $1 million because the money that he had secreted was in Europe someplace, and we were never able to find it.
So what moves you now? Since you if I don't mind you saying, you're 80 plus years old, or 80,
I'm in my 80th year.
you're 80th year. You're still available and ready to try cases. Appear right now actively before judges in the state.
I have and I am.
So what moves you now to present a case, say a plaintiff's case that has a potential for receiving a verdict of X dollars, or mediating that case? Where do you see, what's your drive in terms of how you approach a case like that?
Well, I try to be strategic. There are some cases that just have to be tried, that people are resistant, they haven't assessed their risk appropriately. And I have one coming up in December, a month-long trial we took over from another firm. It's been in the courts since 2019, and I think there are 18 depositions, and it's a commercial case, but it can't be. They're very large companies that own lots of property, and they're intent on fighting about seeing who's going to win. Seeing who's going to win. I try to resolve a case if I can, but if not, I'm ready to fight.
Yeah, well, in that regard, and so since I'll call you an old timer, which I am as well, now you're approaching a case like that where you've got banker boxes of documents probably, and are you prepared to look at these banker boxes, or are you going to somehow try to delegate it and get AI involved in discerning what's in the depths that's important or not? Because it can be, and the old way to do things was to read every page of every deposition, which can be thousands of pages. How are you approaching the practice of litigating a case like that in the 21st century?
Actually, it's interesting. AI is here. I think the younger lawyers, and I keep trying to tell them, practice law is changing. So we already started, for instance, the depositions, we started with a provider who takes and essentially summarizes depositions, but then will create essentially the cross-examination. And we've already done that, and we're now about with ChatGTP and one of the other Perplexity. We're going to put all of the depositions through that and be prepared that way to try the case with the documentation as well. So it's fascinating.
So the AI, the artificial intelligence, presented with a set of facts and what your position is, analyzes thousands of pages of documents and can glean from that key elements that'll be something you want to develop a question around. Is that what's happening?
It's even more sophisticated than that. You can tell it, prepare from all of these documents that we upload, prepare the cross-examination of this particular witness. And what it'll do, it'll not only take from their deposition, the person who you cross, but facts from all the other depositions that are important. I mean, the law's changing, and I find it fascinating. You know, this AI and AGI, it's an inflection point in history.
And it allows someone in their 80s to still practice law and litigate huge cases.
Well,
Fair statement?
Makes it much easier, absolutely.
Let's take the last few minutes that we have here today to talk about what you do in your non-office time, which I know is not that many hours a day, because I do know a little bit since I'm in your office of counsel. And I know you have a regimen of going and getting up very early in the morning, going for your swim, getting to the office 9 o'clock or before, staying the full day, 5 days a week, unlike some of the other younger lawyers who are used to, virtual participation. Let's talk about when you leave the office. And we're talking about, you still have time during the week and you have your weekends. And, what drives you for fun and recreation?
I think my wife has decided that she made enough meals when the kids were young. So as a result, we go out a lot, and we like in the New York and New Jersey area, there are plenty of nice restaurants. We like to travel a lot. I'm at a stage where I've been this year to Europe 3 times.
Does your wife accompany you on any of these trips?
On most of them. Yeah.
It's okay.
She won't go on the law trips, but on the vacation trips, and so we like to travel. We have grandkids in Maryland. We love being with them, of course.
Yeah.
I'm not tired, so I'm not retiring. I mean, I don't see.
That's good.
I don't see any reason to not do what I'm doing. I'm executive director of the Garibaldi of Court now, so I'm active. I know giving a program.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm active in the Hudson County Bar and the Bar Foundation. I've been writing the checks for the last 35 years for the Bar Association, among other things, and I'm an officer of the Bar Foundation, which we're very proud of.
Sure.
We give scholarships and manage the funds that we've accumulated.
Of course, one of the things that, in addition to that, very important benefit that is provided by the Hudson County Bar Association, this committee, which is the Memorial and Support Committee, was instrumental, including your assistance, in having a memorial prepared that is now permanent in this building, Brennan Courthouse,
Yeah.
which honors the deceased members of the bar and members of the association. And now we're trying through this process to sort of get them on tape before they pass on.
Before we put them on the stone.
Right, exactly. So I know there's one other thing that you have an interest in, because we talk about this often in the office. You're a little bit of a film buff, and you're attracted to the independent films and going to the Angelica theaters in New York and all that stuff. Am I right about that?
Yeah, we often will go midday on a Sunday or Saturday, but into New York to the Quad or the Angelica or the IFC, and we like the independent movies, and you and I trade movies. You're a little more of an aficionado than me, but that's something that has been a real outlet, I would say.
Well, Robert, I want to thank you for appearing today before the Oral History Subcommittee. It's great to talk to you on a personal and professional level. You are an icon in the Hudson County Bar, and thank you for your comments today.
Well, you're most kind. Thank you so much, Barry.